have a great deal of gratitude for the people who pulled this event together today. So I want to honor Tony. Tony, you have to raise your hand. Tony and Darcy, who we just heard from, and her husband David. Please join me in giving them a big thank you. And I also want to introduce you to someone who you may have read about in the newspaper, and he's here today, and I'm very blessed that he's here today, and that is our District Attorney in Dane County, Ishmael Ozan. And I think there are also a couple of school board members here from Madison. If I right? Some people from Madison that are on the school board? All right. Well, I know there's a number of teachers here, so thank you everyone for coming today. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to chat with you, and I hope everybody can hear me okay. All right, good. What I want to do is talk just a little bit myself about who I am and what's happening, and then spend most of the time answering people's questions so that everybody feels like they have an opportunity to ask me anything they want to ask me, okay? I have been traveling around the state, listening to people around the state tell me about where they are, how much time and energy and heart, emotions they invested in their recall, and how they feel like we have not yet reaped the fruits of our labor from the recall elections. And I hear this everywhere I go. I also hear that many people to the north and to the west know that what's happening when they see these ads from the governor of WMC, that they're not correct, but they don't know the details of what's been happening at the Capitol. And they feel like the newspapers aren't covering them, and they feel like they don't have good internet connections, so they can't be on Facebook, and they want more information. And I was in Merrill a little bit ago and pulled out everything I had in my trunk to give them, my PowerPoint I used for my town halls and my fair brochures and everything I had about what was happening in the Capitol in the last 3 years. And they were really, really excited to have this information, and they want to know, and they want to be organized. What I'm asking people to do is to identify people that will be leaders in different communities all around the state, and that's what I've been doing when I've been up north. Many people have said to me, Kathleen, why don't you declare? Why don't you just get in the race? We want you to run. And I tell them that I need the time to get around the state to be able to put in place this grassroots organization, because I learned in 2012 that when a volunteer calls, you need to respond immediately. And volunteers need to be answered right away, and if they're going to offer to help, they need to have a person they can work with, and this means there needs to be an infrastructure. So that's what I'm doing. My time frame right now is to spend a lot of time in the next 6 weeks getting all around the state. I'm packed schedule, and if you want to know where I'm going to be, you can go onto my website at KathleenVinehout.org, and I am right now looking at making a final decision and making it public the second or third week of January. So that's where I am, and I would now like to ask you to ask any question about me. Some of you know me well, and some of you just met me for the first time today, so I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable talking in. We have a question in the back.
Yes, I heard in the radio that Ms. Taylor is not supporting you because of your position on reproductive rights in your country.
Yeah, this is news to me today. I know Chris Taylor, I work with her in the legislature, and we've worked together on a lot of different issues.
Can you just repeat the question, because not all of us...
Sure. The question is, and could you get some water? Oh, all right. Thanks.
Reach for it.
The question is, Chris Taylor announced on the radio that she was supporting Kathleen. She was supporting Mary Burke, and she wanted to know about my position on choice. I support the, how should I say this? a decision to have an abortion is a very difficult decision, and it is a decision that can only be made by a woman in consultation with her doctor. It's extremely important that we keep abortion safe and legal. Right now, the challenge when we think about women's health, the challenge is not so much the challenge is accessibility. And when I say that, I mean the very bad legislation that has been passed in the last couple of years have now threatened keeping open even the few clinics that we have here in Wisconsin, especially the clinics in Appleton and Milwaukee. There has been some very bad legislation that has passed in the last several years. I have voted against that very bad legislation. All of my votes are public. There's a section related to women's health on the website. If you have any further questions, or people need specific information related to votes, I'll post it on the website. I grew up in a strong, pro-life, devout Catholic family. Like many people here, I have left my roots. When I ran in 2006, there were two pieces of legislation that were in place, the 24-hour waiting period and the parental consent law with a lot of other people that could act as parent in the role of the parent. When I ran in 2006, I said I do not support additional restrictions on abortion, and that is what my voting record shows. It's all public. So there has been a myth about this. It has come up in past primaries, but the good thing or bad thing is that everything is public. It's all on the website, and you're welcome to ask me any question about any issue.
So, it's my opinion that any Democrat who runs can get 45% of the vote. Recent polls showed that. You and Mary Burke, 44, 45%, even though most of the state doesn't know either of you. Mm-hmm. It's also my opinion that in order to win against Scott Walker, any candidate has to reach the people who voted for Walker and Obama.
Yeah.
Those people, in my opinion, are people who just despise the fact that we did a recall. They didn't really care one way or another about Walker. They just didn't think we should have a recall. How can you position yourself with those voters given, now I'm going to say this even though I had a lot of admiration for the Fab 14, but you were one of them, and you will be attacked for that. And I'm specifically concerned with those voters. I'm not concerned about me, and probably not with anybody here. I'm just curious how you'll deal with that.
I'm going to take that question in two parts. The underlying question you asked me is how will you respond to the question of going into Illinois? The answer to that question is very simple. I do not think that the governor wants to talk about legislators or governors that have been out of the state. The second question is a much more serious question, and it's a question that we need to spend some time in Madison and Milwaukee thinking about, because the answer to the question is not found in Madison and Milwaukee, except as how you can help in what I'm going to explain next. There is what I would call a magic horseshoe in this state. So imagine my hand.
That's Michigan. Sorry.
All right, I need a map.
You can't claim our map.
The horseshoe begins in La Crosse, to Eau Claire, to Wausau, to the Fox Valley, to Green Bay. This area is an area that votes Democratic or Republican. It's an area that the governor has spent an extraordinary amount of time in. If you watch where he is, he's hitting this area all the time, every week.
When he's in
the state. Yeah. What he does is come to, and I'm in this area. My district goes around La Crosse to the edge of La Crosse, and then it goes all the way up to Eau Claire and all the way up the river to 25 miles from downtown St. Paul. That's where my Senate district is. 9 counties in western Wisconsin. So I've got a big swath of that. So I know exactly what's happening. The governor goes to an empty hangar in, let's pick Eau Claire, but it could have been Rhinelander. He has the local media, the television station and the newspaper and a couple radio stations. The television people have been told by their bosses that they can't take a picture of the empty hangar. They have to focus on the governor. But they call me up and tell me about this because they always call me to respond to him. And so I end up at the end of the article, but his picture is at the front. This is a very wise strategy on the governor's part. It was a week before the end of the recall, and I was traveling with Tom Barrett, working in western Wisconsin. And when we had a moment in private, he said to me, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen. I just got a poll back from where you live, in the Minneapolis-St. Paul Media Market, and in that poll, 32% of the people who voted for Obama are going to vote for Scott Walker in the recall. This is the week before the election. When you look at that map, from the bottom of the state, Grant County, all the way up the western side of the state and all across the north, it is red, except for one community, La Crosse. La Crosse has a very progressive, thoughtful publisher of the La Crosse Tribune who strongly supports the UW system and public education and nonpartisan redistricting. And he has been very vocal in that newspaper. We also have a good, strong Democratic Party in La Crosse. I believe one of the great problems facing our state right now is that there is a chasm somewhere around Portage, Columbia County. And all of the news from Madison, Milwaukee falls into that chasm. And very little makes it up the other steep side to ever get to Wausau or Toma, let alone to where I live in Buffalo County, or where I was yesterday in Rhinelander and Antigo. This is a solvable problem, ladies and gentlemen, and you hold part of the key. So my challenge to you is to adopt someone you know on the other side of this imaginary chasm and talk with them frequently about what the news is in Madison. We have very bad communication system. We don't have broadband, and Facebook is extremely video intensive. So what we need to do is consciously, in an organized manner, take information from Facebook and put it into an email. We might not open an attachment, but we might click on a link. Remember, half of the people in my county that are Democratic Party members don't even have an email. That's where I live. And then once we take that information from Facebook and put it into an email, we next need to take it and turn it into a letter to the editor in a local paper. I have 24 newspapers in my Senate district. There are all kinds of little rural newspapers that accept letters to the editor. And then once that letter and this is what I explained yesterday up north, once that letter to the editor is there, the folks up north need to consciously take that letter to the editor and that newspaper to the coffee shop and the co-op, because that's where rural people get their news. This is a statewide outreach program that everybody here can participate in, because everybody's got a friend on the other side of that information chasm. So that's a long answer to your question, but that's part of the answer to winning the West and the North.
He apologized, he had to go pick up his son.
He got me started, though, didn't he?
That's enough.
All right.
Labor and immigration.
Well, that's a very big question. Is there something specific that you're thinking about?
Well, about labor, in the past 4 years, we've seen a lot of reversal on labor's rights. I'm a nurse at UW Hospital, and we are right now in a campaign trying to address.
I understand.
Yeah, and so I'm concerned about how do we revert some of these rights. And immigration, what is your opinion on how we can allow immigrant laborers to come here and be safe?
Those are very important questions, and I'm going to answer both of them. I'll start with immigration. We absolutely need reform and integration. We need a clear path to citizenship. We have seen the Dreamers protesting around this country, and they have been